All right, boom, we are live. Let's just give me a sec to settle this up. Bit of an impromptu live stream. I've got some Kemper action happening today. Got it hooked up. All right, hopefully the sound is good. Should be good. All right, we got Greg here already. How are you, mate? Mario, how you doing? Gregory as well, so two Gregs. We got Ben Coombs. Danny, welcome, man. Danny says, hey, I've been doing nothing but watching your channel this weekend. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Howdy from Roddy Chrome. Xavier, how you doing? With a J. That's interesting. So I profiled my Marshall the other day with my favorite microphone. I've got a Kemper on loan right now, and it sounds spot on. It's pretty cool. Ben says, just finished watching your guitar search video. Cool. That's a great shop, great store. I had a lot of fun there. I actually sent Darren, who owns the store, a message, and I said, can I come back and test some of those amps? So I'm going to do that at some point. All right, we got Klaus. Hopefully that's how you pronounce that. Let me know where you're from too, guys, if I don't know you already. Sonia, welcome. One of the moderators now, one of the newly appointed moderators. We got Jim. We got Rob, Daniel, Craig. Hopefully I haven't missed anybody yet. But we've got 50 people here already, so looks like the live stream push is doing all right. Now, just to let you know, in case it happens again, I went to stream just before and my computer froze. So hopefully it works okay now. We'll go for an hour or so, and if anyone has any questions, I can take those and answer those if I can. And we've got a couple of guitars out today. I got the Little Crow, which I've abandoned recently for no reason than it needed new strings. So I thought, you know what? Get my lazy ass into gear and get this one back up and running. So this is the bridge. Oh, thanks for the nice comments there. Appreciate that. ZD351 says, what's this? I thought it was going to be a hangout today. We can do a hangout. What time is it? It's 11 o'clock. I tell you what, next Sunday, 100%. Let's do a hangout then. I don't have anything scheduled for next Sunday. This was a little bit of an impromptu thing. So we've got Kristen from Michigan. How you doing? Welcome. I like your little avatar with the helmet. I think that's pretty cool. We've got Julian from Tijuana. I almost said it that as it looks, which is the wrong pronunciation. How's the tone? Is that all right? Is it coming through balanced and stuff? Got Daniel from the Philippines. We got folks from all over the place here, so awesome stuff. James, hola. ¿Cómo está usted? What pickups am I rocking there? So this particular guitar is a Little Crow Corvinho SD. The initials were because I had some sort of input into some of the design of this. I didn't build it or anything, but I was one of the beta testers of a lot of these guitars, and this is like the best combination that we could get was the they're called Mick Briley's, the pickup builder from Australia. So Briley pickups, mini humbucker, and a Telecaster single coil bridge pickup. And the single coil bridge pickup, they're balanced too. So when you go from the output from say the neck, oh, my switch is a bit old, to the bridge, there's not a huge volume jump. They sound pretty good. I haven't played this guitar for months. Like literally, I think it's been probably 2 months since I picked it up. I might have shot a section of a demo on it, but yeah, I think the switch just has a bit of you know, you don't use them for a while. The cool thing about this guitar is both pickups sound good. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm always playing the Raven, which is this one. That's the one I've been playing a lot lately. That's kind of like probably my go-to full-blown dual humbucker guitar. I mean, the PRS is too, but you know, you see that a lot lately. I'm really enjoying it. All right. We can do a hangout. Maybe I'll swap it up. We'll go for about half hour or something. All right. We'll go to Owen from Brisbane. Niles from Canada. Welcome. All right. So, do I prefer an SG or a Les Paul? And that's from Shane. Welcome. Basically, for me, I've never really felt 100% comfortable on an SG. I just... There's something about it, they don't balance right. Like, I can't just take my hands off it. They just want to go like this. The other thing about an SG for me personally, I love the look, and I love the look of them. I love the tone of them, all that kind of stuff. But when I've got one on and I'm standing up, it feels like I have to reach further to get to the same place. And that always throws me when I'm playing one. It's like if I think I'm in A, I'm actually in B, and I've got to reach further across. So if I'm doing an open E, it almost feels like an open E on an SG is about here for me, for whatever reason. And I don't like that feeling of how it's sort of like pulling my arm across more. I don't know what it is. It's just one of those things. I love the tone of them. I think tonally they're probably a better guitar than some of the Les Pauls I've owned. But yeah, I don't know. I just can't get used to them. So Les Paul, in terms of the way it feels on, is good, minus the weight. Michael says, hello, Shane and everyone from Indy. Cool. Alright, that's a great tone. Thanks, man. Yeah, this guitar's pretty cool. The good thing about the Kemper is you turn down. So for those who just joined, who missed the start, I actually profiled my Marshall. So that's what you're hearing right now. You're hearing a Marshall recorded with my favorite mic. My Marshall recorded with my favorite mic. Craig says his SG also has a neck dive. Yeah, that's just one of the flaws of those guitars. Not all of them do it, right? But the ones that I've owned, which I think I've only owned one, maybe two, they all want to fall. And I don't like that. I like the guitar to stay balanced, you know. Whereas a Flying V does the opposite. It just falls off your leg this way. But there, see, Flying Vs are also extremely great tone-wise. They're an awkward guitar. You can't really play them sitting down unless you kind of put them in like this, and then you've thrown your reach out as well. So, have I ever played a Quilter amp? I have. I played one of their 210 combos at a jam night twice, I think, actually. I don't mind them. I think they sound okay. I don't think they sound as good as a PV Bandit, and that was what I was using before I plugged into the Quilter. So, just in terms of the combos, I hear a lot of great things about their heads. Haven't tried them yet. I was supposed to do some demos for those a while back with this the importer from Australia, but yeah, after like 2 years of back and forth, I just never bothered. But yeah, really cool little amps. But for me personally, I think PV Bandits are pretty hard to beat if you want a pedal platform amp. They really are. T Hughes says, bought a PV Viper tube, 60 watt, kicks ass, awesome. Dwayne from LA, how are you, man? Jamal, welcome, mate. Good to hear some blues. Coming back from Guitar Center, listening to metal from Rob Chapman and Rabia. They're doing the Guitar Center thing. Cool. Let me know how busy it was, man. I bet you it would have been pretty packed in there, hey? Alright, here's a great question. I'll answer this other one first. So Will says, have I ever played a JMP1? I have not, but I've got access to all that kind of stuff. All right. What do I think about the new John Mayer PRS Strat? So if you follow me on Facebook, I just reposted Mayer's live stream from Instagram on there. And basically he goes into detail about the Strat. Put that in quotations, but I gotta say firstly, Fender's response to this was awesome. So for those who don't use Instagram or social networking, which you're a smarter man than me, basically they put out like a picture of a PRS with a Strat neck, and they said, 2 years in development, the Fender scorched earth was, it was pretty funny. It's like a bit of a meme, but yeah, I'm interested to see what they're like. I mean, there's no reason to hate on it, I don't think, because there's clearly some differences in the design, at least. I mean, visually, yeah, it's a Strat, but there are some differences, and I think, even after listening to John's live stream, I kind of went, all right, there's a bit more thought into it. So I'm looking forward to sort of getting my hands on it and keeping an open mind with it. The thing I think most people don't realize is there's no way Paul Reed Smith would have made a Strat copy, like straight up Strat copy. There'd be no reason for that, because it's an artist guitar. That's the reason it got made. It's not really something that I think he would have gone out of his way to make if someone like John, didn't come to him with an idea. And he also takes a lot of the misconceptions about what he's hearing online. Like, a lot of people were saying that he got paid like a huge chunk of cash to come to PRS. Absolutely not. At least that's what he says anyway, so I have no reason to doubt that. Ben says he shot some demos last week, all using the older Bandit, and thought of you. Thanks, man. I'll have to check that out. The live stream will stay... All the comments now stay on the live stream after the fact, so I'll come back and check out your stuff, man. That John Mayer Strat is cracking. Yeah, it's good. Like, I don't mind it, man. I'm sort of... I like the Paul Reed Smith headstock, even though it's sort of like reversed and all that kind of stuff on this one. I like their guitars. I think I kind of dismissed a lot of their stuff just based on my own ignorance. Like, I'd never played a lefty, so I thought, And sometimes I thought they looked a little too blingy, but I kind of like the Strat. It's very, very, it's a modern twist on it to some extent, while keeping a lot of the stuff that makes them popular there. I'm no fanboy, by the way. I got one PRS SE, and that is it. And I paid for that one, too. Yeah. John says, hey, Shane, what's up, man? Still raving about that solid state amp video with Brian in it? Oh, thanks, dude. Yeah, that video did extremely well. It's funny. It's really funny how the channel works. I was talking to Rick and Ryan about this the other day. Like, we get a $10,000 amp and we demo it with a $10,000 guitar, and we expect that video to go really, really well, and it gets like 3,000 views. And then we shoot a live clip at a gig and it gets 25,000 views in the same amount of time. So it's a little confusing in terms of how YouTube works or what people are interested in, but there's definitely more live clips coming. I've filmed and edited a couple of others as well, so stay tuned for those. Do I ever use equal temperament tuning? I have no idea what that is. I use a tuner, and that is it. I go ding, and I tune it up that way. That is it. BV Ninja, welcome. Ray, how are you? Key, but you get the idea. We're talking about Mayer, and I just butchered that. All right, 142 watching, 39 thumbs. Hit that sucker, guys. That's from Ray. Thanks, man. Yeah, give the video a thumbs up if you want. That's awesome. If you see me looking over here and not here, I'm reading the comments. So I've almost got this set up sorted for doing this. I said this last time, I need to shuffle this desk across a little more, and then I can just look here. So thanks, guys. Appreciate that. Now, I saw a question here that I wanted to answer. Where was it? Where did I get all these posters? So, I go to Google and I type in Muddy Waters poster. And I save the highest resolution one I can find. And then I take it to an office supply shop in Australia called Officeworks. And basically I say, here's a USB stick full of pictures. Please print these out on good paper. And that is it. I just get them done myself. You can't really buy these posters anywhere. I used to buy posters. I used to have like Stevie Ray ones. And if you look back at my older videos, you'll see Stevie Ray posters and Eric Clapton ones and stuff. But, over 10 years' time, and you move house and that, that stuff gets destroyed. So I just print my own. These are all A2 size pieces of paper, actually printed in full color. And you can see, they're not perfect. Like the board, there's always a border. So I opt to have the border as part of them to keep them consistent now. Some of them sort of fill up more area than others, but the printing quality at Officeworks is great, and they only cost about $1.20, which isn't too bad. Well, how do I feel, or how do I deal with the volume difference between a Les Paul and Italia with single coils? I don't really think about it that much. If I need more volume, I just walk over and turn the amp up or down. It's really that simple. The only thing that I'll do differently on Italia, if I'm playing Italia and then I go to a Les Paul, the only two controls I really adjust on the amp are usually the EQ controls. I'll either turn the bass up a little bit if I'm playing Italia, or turn the treble up or down depending on which guitar I'm playing. And that is it. Most of it just comes down to the volume. You can just notch it up a hair, but I generally find if I just look down at my pedal board, I can essentially just turn up the volume there. So yeah, I don't really find there to be that much of a problem. Look, some guitars have more or less output than others, but my particular ones, it's not that much. Once you're loud, you're loud. That's the way I look at it. Gas and Bullets, how are you, man? If you could have any pedals that you don't currently have, regardless of price, what would they be? The Giggity. No. It would probably be the wah pedal from Jam Pedals in Greece. That thing is unreal. That's probably the best wah pedal I've ever heard. I would have to say that. I demoed it years ago, and it was phenomenal. It's hand-painted, which is a little bit... I don't really care for that stuff too much, but in terms of sound and all that, it was wild. So I'd probably say that. I don't even know if I really want a Klon Centaur. Like a lot of people would probably say that, but I've had Klons for years, different types, and a KTR, and I don't know, man. I'm kind of happy with my setup. I really am. I've got a couple of other pedals coming from Versus Audio, which I'm looking at. I can't wait to actually test out. So, but that's about it. I've tried so many. It's funny, like this is the trap. I love when I'm using my Fender amp or even the Peavey, which I don't necessarily need pedals for at a jam, for example. But if I want the best tone I can get, I'll take my pedal board with a clean channel of the Bandit or with the Blues Deluxe. The Blues Deluxe needs pedals, right? You can't get a good sound out of the drive channel, or at least I can't get my sound out of the drive channel. But with the Marshall, I don't really need anything. I just put a delay in the effects loop and I'm done. So that amp has been an eye-opener for me, I reckon. I might do a shootout between the Marshall on its own with no effects, or maybe with just delay, versus my actual pedal board with my Fender Blues Deluxe, because I kind of feel like there's not a lot in it. Make a video of my favorite restaurant. I don't really eat at restaurants, man. It's not something that I do much, unless we're counting the Golden Arches as a restaurant. Have Fun Guitar Player says, I like that music festival you guys played in. It looked like really laid back. Yeah, it's pretty cool. We actually got a gig there next Saturday. No, I'm playing there next Friday night, actually. So it'll be a night gig, like 9:30 p.m. or something crazy. So I'm going to try and film that. Actually, I think Rick's going to man the camera for me, which is great. And then I'm going to film his the following day. So... yeah, it should be fun. I got Brian, same band basically, except I got Jeff on bass instead of Rick this time, so it should be fun. Yeah, Jam Pedals in Greece. Yep, Jam. Yeah, they make amazing stuff. They have really good stuff. You know what? I sold a pedal a while back. I shouldn't have sold because I was funding my overseas trip. This is sort of what I have to do when I do stuff like that is like sell a lot of stuff. I really wish I had kept my Overdrive Pro from Maxon. So good. I might have to see if I can get another one of those at some point. That's a really, really good pedal. Ray says, what, you eat McCrap? I only eat their chicken wraps, which I like. I try to keep relatively fit, so... What do I think of Gary Clarke Jr.? I think what I've heard of his stuff is pretty cool. He seems like a pretty chilled sort of muso. I don't know all of his stuff, but the stuff I have heard of him so far has been pretty good. I remember actually I was having dinner somewhere. Actually, I was out. I was like, this music's great. Like, and I Shazammed it, and it was Gary Clarke Jr. And I went, oh wow, okay, cool. Bring your Marshall to the gig. I will. So the plan is to bring the Marshall, a wah pedal, and I'm going to bring the Sitek delay pedal and just put that in the effects loop, and that's it. So no other effects, no distractions, just a channel switcher, and I've got that amp dialed in like you wouldn't believe now. I'm really, really shocked how great it sounds. So yeah, it could easily be my main amp. It does what the Peavey does, essentially, right? So, you know, I rave about that. It does that, but it's got a bit more throw of sound. Yeah. I don't eat elaborately. Anyone who knows me will know that I don't go out and spend $100 on a meal. I don't do that at all, ever. So I prepare a lot of my meals, all that kind of stuff. Hey, Metal Stage Podcast, how are you? Thanks for joining in. Check out his channel, guys, if you're into guitar podcasts. I think is that Guri? Is that how you pronounce that? Thoughts on the Silver Sky? I answered that just before, actually, at the start of the stream. So this is a Q&A as well, guys. So feel free to ask anything. If I missed your question, just post again. The chat scrolls, and I should have been wearing my glasses. So what's also really cool is with this Kemper, I got there's a guy who runs a YouTube channel called Tone Junkies, and also a website by that name as well. And he sent me his premium pack of all the 50s and 60s Fender amps he profiled, the J-Mod, all the 2-Rock stuff, high watt amplifiers, all that kind of stuff. So if you want to hear like a Vox, this thing has got everything in it right now, which is back here actually. So if you want me to change up the tones or the guitars, just let me know. But that's actually the one that I made, which it sounds spot on. I recorded a demo with the Marshall and then profiled it, and it was spot on. I actually got a blind test coming up, so... Yeah, Metal Stage Podcast, I didn't get your email, no. I wondered if it was sent, actually, which was odd. So it's INTHEBLUES@outlook.com. Yeah, I would have replied. I'm pretty quick with all that stuff. So, yeah, if you want me on, I'm happy to join. Or shoot me if it doesn't... Like, sometimes my spam filters are a bit weird, so if you want, just shoot me a message either on Facebook at In The Blues, or even on YouTube, you can shoot me a private message and we'll work it out. And that way I'll definitely get it. Medicated One says, thanks Shane. I learned you don't need to spend a fortune to make great sounding pedalboard. Yeah, absolutely. There's so much good stuff out there. Every day on Facebook, someone asks me, what's the best cheap this? What's the best cheap that? I'm like, this is stuff that I've either given to friends or I've used live in a live situation, and it's been good. There's so many good cheap pedals out there. And reliable cheap pedals now. Back maybe 5 or more years ago, there was a lot of cheap stuff that was crap in terms of build quality or reliability. You know, I was talking to someone about this a couple of weeks back. Like, I don't think I've had one Donna pedal fail, which isn't bad considering how many pedals I've done of theirs over the years. So I'd love to hear the Kemper. So that is the Kemper. That's what you're hearing right now. So that's the red channel of the amp that I profiled. I'll go to the green one. So this is the clean channel of the Marshall, basically. So that just sounds spot on. And the good thing, the one thing that the Kemper, or one of the things that the Kemper does well, is it retains the speaker feel. Like that big. And it really nails that sort of knock of the speaker. Let's crank up the bass a little bit. Let's try this. Alright, the Bumble says Nooks OD3 is good and cheap. Absolutely. Ben says, any new pedals that you're looking forward to trying that you've only heard about? Yeah, only like I said earlier, there's a couple of VS Audio ones I'm dying to try. They've got a single version of a single stage version of the dual overdrive. So it's like one side of that. And they've also released, or they're about to release, a delay pedal. It's an analog delay. But overall, there's not a whole lot of stuff that really interests me right now, pedal-wise. I've kind of, although I've been demoing some pedals lately, I've kind of been, it's only like 1 a week, maybe 2 a week. Trying to do more guitars and amps and that at the moment, just to mix things up a little bit more. But in terms of pedals, I haven't really seen anything that I go, oh, wow, yeah, I'd really love to try that. It's not really... there's not really... I probably don't keep my, eyes peeled as much as most people do anymore, just because I'm always around pedals. Shane, do I know Philip Sace? I don't. I've heard the name. Off the top of my head, I can't think of any of their music or his music. I've been playing bass with a group lately because I couldn't get a solid bass player. I guess I'm a bass player now. That's how it starts, man, for a lot of guys. Like, we need a bass player. Oh, I'll play bass, don't worry about it. Clean's great. That's just spot on. That's how it sounds mic'd. I kind of like a little bit of drive. Let's swap guitars. Let's grab this thing. Now, I sent Danelectro an email a couple of days ago, so I'll probably hear back on my Tuesday regarding their Lefties. I had a lot of people say you know, where's this available and when and all that. And I have no idea. So hopefully they let me know. I'm in love with my Tube Screamer until I meet the Exotic BB. They're a great pedal. I've owned one of them as well. They're really good. I've got 3 overdrives on my board, and I find the TS gets the most use. Yeah, Tube Screamers are just great in the mix. They really are. Madro Guitars, welcome. Does the EQ in the Kemper mimic the profiled amp, or does the digital tone stacks tweak differently? So what I found is I set the amps up when I profiled them the way I would like to use the amps. And then I found like when I got onto the Kemper, I found like it sounded basically like the amp with the EQ flat. And then if I turned the controls on the Kemper up to where they were set, or down where they were set on the actual amp, that's when it would sound the same. It's really sort of an interesting process. I got a video coming up about that as well. I actually shot one the other day, and my shirt mic wasn't on, so it was a write-off, unfortunately. I need to write a big checklist on the wall, check the batteries, and before I do anything. Actually, I've done that twice in the last 2 weeks. Oh, okay. Thanks for that, Tony. I appreciate that. I'll check it out. I appreciate it. That Danelectro looks like a Most, right? Yeah, everyone's telling me that. My friend Rick told me that as well. And this is one of those... That's one of those brands I had no idea about. I didn't even know of Mosrite guitars, so, or Moserite, however you pronounce it. To me, this looked like a lot like a Hallmark guitar, and I mentioned that on a live stream I was doing, that, hey, this kind of reminds me of a Hallmark, but I had no idea about those Mosrite ones. So, yeah, I love the bridge pickup on this. I think that's where it just... Crank it up a bit. I have the Visual Sound TS with a bottom end switch. It's awesome. Yeah, man. Visual Sound make good stuff. I used to only use one of their... I actually had 2 of their pedals, but my favorite one was the Jekyll and Hyde. I think that's a really underrated pedal in some ways. I also had the dual Tube Screamer one as well, which actually ended up, I sold it to a friend and then ended up having a problem with the noise gating there, which sucked. Jamal says, okay, I'm finally home. I need to stop driving and texting on these live streams and just listen. Absolutely, dude. How's that? It's insane. Just keeps ringing out. Pretty cool. Do I still have my Squier Classic Vibe? I'm thinking about purchasing one soon. I don't have it anymore. I kind of wish I still kept it. So the way it works for me is usually if I buy something ridiculously expensive, I end up selling a few things off, and that was one of the things that went when I got my gold top, and then that went because of the dental bills, thanks to this crap. All right. Tony says, by the way, love your content and playing, bro. Please never stop. Watching you from Essex, UK. Oh, welcome. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Cool. Yeah, I have no plans on stopping the channel for any other reason. This year will be the year I've obviously been doing a lot. I've been working really hard, getting as much stuff out as I can, almost daily. Like there's, I think, 1 or 2 days a week where I don't really post a new video. I might do something like this or just leave it empty. I planned on sort of pulling it back to sort of like 3 to 4 videos a week, but I find like I really take notice of the analytics and how things respond and what works and all that kind of stuff. So for me to make this viable long term, I need to push pretty hard this year. So I'm gonna basically try my best to get as much good quality content out there. And I'm trying to keep the standard of it up. I know I'm putting a few typos in there, and there's a couple of editing glitches, but I'm a one-man show, right? I might have other people help be on video, but I do all of this myself, so occasionally there's, you know, small issues in some of the videos, but generally I reckon I'm pretty consistent with production, the focus, and all that kind of stuff, and yeah, I've really streamlined the process so I can get a lot of stuff done in the shortest amount of time that it can possibly take at least one person doing it. So yeah, I'm going to push pretty hard this year and see if we can get it to grow. I mean, it's been growing a lot. I mean, the daily content thing's been really helping, and trying to mix up what I'm doing on the channel too. So that's why you'll see behind me right here, I got a Vox amp. I got another one here as well, which they forgot to give me the power supply, so I can't plug it in. It's got this proprietary brick thing. So you're going to see some different things coming up. Unfortunately, all the Fender gear that I was waiting on, like the, what was it called? The version 4s, they're still not here yet, so. Mr. Pickle says, "Hi Shane, have you ever had a Cobain signature Mustang in your collection?" I haven't. I've tried one actually when I was at. Let's see how good my recall is. Daytona. There's a music shop in Daytona Beach called. Oh, I've forgotten what it's called. I bought my Squier Classic Vibe there. They actually had. I can't think of the name of the shop. I've been there so many times over the years. Anyway, they had a Cobain Lefty one, and I remember I picked it up and I went, wow, this is pretty cool, but there's too many controls on there for me. That's one of those things. Woo! What was the first amp I ever got? Or tube amp I ever got? The first one was a Yorkville Traynor YCV40 or 45. It was a black Tolex single 12-inch speaker. I think it had a 7080 in there, which was faulty, right? And I think this is where it started for me. But they not liking 7080 speakers. The amp actually sounded pretty good, but the guys in the shop swapped the speaker out to a different one, and it sounded awesome. So that's all I used for years. That was a really great amp. I sold that to get a Fender. I think I swapped my, changed ideas, and I wanted the big, full clean tone, which the Traynor really doesn't have. It's more of a focused MIDI sort of sound. Yeah, they're a different sort of sound. They're good at what they do, but they're different, which is cool. So I got a DeVille, and I love that. I love that. Apart from your excellent channel, are you aware of any other comparable Australian guitar channels? The only other guy that I know, like personally, which I don't know him that well, but I've spoken to him a few times and he's been a really lovely guy, Brett Kingman. He does a lot of pedal reviews and guitar stuff mostly, or demos, I should say. I don't think he really reviews much. He just shows you how it is, and that's the cool thing about his channel. I like the fact. He demos a lot of stuff I'm sure he doesn't like, much like most guitar channels, but he knows there's an audience for it, and he'll just use it and he'll get the best out of it. Let's just put it that way. He's a great player. He records well, all that kind of stuff. So, apart from him, I don't really know anyone else. Like, I can't think of any. I know there's a few Australian guys that do lessons, but not really. I think what my channel does is a little bit different to some channels, at least, anyway. What was the first song I ever learned? I can play that for you right now. That was it. And that's all I learned. At least on guitar, anyway. I learned to play the recorder when I was young. At school, they made us learn that, and I'd learn like a few old weird songs. They never taught us anything cool. But one of the first songs I transposed actually from recorder to guitar was oh, it's been years since I played this, so hang on. Remember Tour of Duty? Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's probably been 20 years, 30 years since I've even heard that, but no, not that long, but it's been a while. Yeah, that's it. There you go. That's terrible. That was the first one I remember, like, knowing on recorder, or working out on recorder. And then when I got a guitar, I worked that out just by ear. And I went, oh, so, okay, I can play those melodies on a guitar. And I wish I probably should have learnt more melody stuff. So it really ties your hand and ear together. Have I tried any Harley Benton guitars? I haven't yet, no. I almost pulled the trigger on one a little while back, just to see what they're like. I'd like to see if it's just marketing BS or whether they're actually any good. I don't expect them to be mind-blowing, but I don't expect them to be junk. That's kind of where I think they'll sit. I don't think they'll be half as nice as this, but I could be wrong. So, yeah. What's my favorite chord? I kind of like these sort of like major sounding chords. It just depends on the context. Like, I don't... The Hendrix one's always good, that ninth. You know, in that song, It's Probably Me, you know. It does this... That's a nice one too, I like that. I think I'm out of tune, by the way. Let me just... Favorite blues chord right now is this. Like if you're playing a... Like, say you're in A. So over that. Yeah, I really like that. 13ths are nice as well. Oh yeah, I wasn't even on neck pickup, so. I kind of like some of these minors as well. I'm a big fan of minor chords. How did I start playing the blues? I basically always liked the music, and I didn't really think twice about that. Like, I grew up watching Blues Brothers, and I know a lot of that stuff is soul, and, you know, there's blues in there, but there's also other kinds of stuff in there. Like, there's some country tunes, you know, those, when they're doing Rawhide and all that kind of stuff. And gospel with James Brown, and all that Aretha stuff was great. And I remember, like, there came a time where I bought an acoustic, and I was starting to learn, like, you know, like, oh, there we go. This is another one that goes back right when I first started playing. So, like, the Chili Pepper stuff, I learned a lot of, like, at the time, 1999, I was learning like, I remember learning that Everlast song that was out at the time. I've sort of forgotten how that goes, but all that kind of stuff. So it was. I lived in Michigan, right, for a little while when I was 19, and I already knew a couple of chords on guitar by then. Like I said, I already had an acoustic. And then I met this guy Rob. He used to wear, see that pink flamingo behind me? He used to wear a shirt with pink flamingos all over it, right? He was a studio guy, phenomenal guitar player, great singer, yeah, American dude. And he goes, "Oh, I'll teach you the blues pattern. It's real easy." And I couldn't get it. I kind of, like, he tried to show me it in every key, like either in E or A, right? He was like, just go. But I didn't know how to play a B in any capacity, right? There was just no B chord in my vocabulary. I didn't know how to do bar chords. So I was stuck. Like, and then we tried it in A, and I think, like, A was a little bit easier for me, so we worked it just in A, but I was like, I really dig the feel of this. So there were two things that happened that particular year. Was one, I was introduced to Rob, and he showed me how the blues works and the pattern, how it's very formulaic, and I always loved the music, right? But I didn't understand that, like, anyone that played blues could just get together and play. I never really understood why or how that happened. I always thought people had to learn songs, but you don't really, which is great. And then as we were driving back to Detroit Airport, we had From the Cradle on from Eric Clapton. And right then, I was like, who is this? This is unbelievable. Blues Before Sunrise. And he was playing slide. And I don't play slide, right? But it was just the vibe of it. I was like, this is unreal. Who is this, B.B. King? Like, I had no idea, right? I didn't really know much about blues. And that was like, all right, if Eric Clapton can do this, I'm going to give this a shot. And I didn't know anything about Eric Clapton. I just knew he wasn't an American guy. And for me, that was like, oh, all right. So there's people that play this stuff outside of the US. I literally had no idea. And then as I started looking into it locally, I'm like, oh man, there's a million blues bands in my city. Like, where have I been the last forever, you know? But it was right around that time I was like old enough to go out and all that kind of thing as well. You know, go out to pubs and watch bands. And so I didn't really do any of that before I was old enough. And back then too, I was more into sport than I was into music. But once I hurt my back, it was all a weird situation. I basically picked up a guitar and wanted to play more. And that's what got me into it. I was like, I need an outlet and I can't do sport. Like, what can I do? So it was more along the lines of guitar kind of filled that void. And I'm really glad that happened. And there were really two, like, I listened to everything, right? Like, I listened to everything from, like, stuff you'd be really surprised, like metal stuff. I'm a huge fan of White Zombie, Rob Zombie stuff. Back then, Metallica, Nine Inch Nails, all this kind of random stuff, but I never wanted to play that stuff on guitar. I was like, the first couple of times I heard Clapton, that's when I went, wow, it hit me in a different place musically. I remember getting chills. And also listening to Sultans of Swing, you know. That was the song I think that really inspired me or the time where I worked out what it is I love about guitar music is you can sing something and then you can play something. And for whatever reason, I don't know what it is, but I think I was always really good at hearing the other parts of the song other than the vocals. Like, I think when most people listen to songs, they listen to it in one big form. I could kind of like split what the hi-hats were doing, where the bass was sitting, and a few other, like, all the guitar parts. I could kind of listen to it in maybe a different way. And I think most musos are like that. So I'm not saying I'm different to anyone else. But in terms of just non-musicians, they don't hear music like that, I don't think. They just like the groove and the feel of it. Whereas I was kind of like listening to the vocals and the guitars kind of like two separate entities, but neither of them clouded each other's space. And I really liked that in music. That's why I think Mark Knopfler is probably, you know, as favorite of a guitar. I was more heavily inspired by Clapton, obviously, in my playing. But in later years, I've come to appreciate Knopfler just so much more. Like, a friend of mine said he's the gift that keeps giving. I think Rick said that. And I'm like, absolutely, man. Guy just is so good. I know there's a better way of playing that, but anyway. Alright, so that was a long story there. But that's the long story of what got me into it. So, do I like Neil Young at all? We play that stuff? Yeah, a little bit. It's another dude I don't know enough about. I know everybody swears by Neil Young. I just haven't sat down and gone, all right, it's time to like work this out and listen to it. So many options out there for cool amps. Need to go play them all and get better first, so I can actually assess the amps. I think that's a thing that like I went to when I first bought my Yorkville Traynor, which was my first valve amp. I had a friend of mine, Dean, who's a phenomenal guitar player, great singer. I made maybe the mistake of bringing him with me because he plugged into that amp and he went, "This is great." And I went, all right, I'll take it. And he made it sound unbelievable. And I never really could make it sound that way again. I think a good way of practicing is to play unplugged. If you play an electric guitar, don't plug into an amp. Work on just getting your get your bends to ring out without actually having an amplifier there. And then when you plug in, it'll really help your attack. A lot of guys don't hit the strings hard enough. I mean, there's a time for playing soft, but I think actually playing acoustically on an electric, I don't know if you can hear that, but if you can get that to ring out when you actually turn it up, it's going to ring out great. Billy Gibbons, yeah, Billy Gibbons is great, absolutely. ZZ Top, man, I mean, geez, what a band. Mario says you must be loving this Danelectro. I really like it. I'm going to take this out for a play tonight, actually, and see if I can get something on video that works. I've still got the stock strings on. Usually I would swap that, but I haven't. I like their simplicity. I like the fact 2 pickups, a toggle switch, a tone, and a volume control, and no extra weird things. They've kept it very, very simple. Tuning stability is pretty good so far. Like I said, I've still got the same strings on here. The Strat demo with the lipstick pickups is already finished. I've got to upload that, and that should be up next week. Let me just ban this dickhead. Or any of the moderators, feel free to jump in. Let me, yeah, people who waste my time get banned. There we go, done. Alright, so ZZ Top and John Fogerty are coming to St. Augustine, Florida. Awesome, awesome stuff. St. Augustine's a really great town. I dig it. John Fogerty, man, I'd love to see that dude live. And ZZ Top too. It's funny, a friend of mine was in Sturgis a while back doing the motorbike show thing. And he went into a shop and Billy Gibbons was there. I was like, how cool is that? He's got a photo with him. I was like, oh, cool. Am I using 10s or 9s? So I think on this, they feel like 10s. Usually I play 11s on most of my guitars, except for the PRS, which I've stayed with I've stayed with using 10s on. Which isn't here, it's over there. It kind of feels good with 10s, that guitar. I don't want to change the feel. I don't want to have it adjusted. But all my other guitars play 11s. I have 11s on there, except for these right now, which are the stock strings, which they feel kind of like 10s. They don't feel ridiculously slinky like when you buy, sometimes some of those Strats you pull off the wall have 9s, and it's like, no thanks. You overbend by a mile. Does the angle of the neck pickup actually do anything, or is it just for looks? I would assume it's more for looks. I don't think that would do anything at all, to be honest. The only angle that you really need to worry about is the angle, like looking at it this way, whether it's up or down. So if the neck height is higher or lower, I really don't think that's going to make too much of a difference. I mean, if you were to turn that straight, the string alignment would still be the same. So I think it's just to offset the look of the guitar, or to maybe make it look more balanced and unique and weird. Because if you see this piece here, see how the fret that isn't a fret right at the end is angled and it's not uniform or perpendicular like all the other ones. They've done it just to kind of make it look funny and or different. I would assume it makes no difference to the tone. But yeah, it's definitely a great sounding guitar though. I mean, the neck pickup's great. Katana artist opinion about the sound, tube amp quality. Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely as loud as any amp I've played that I own. It's so I said this in the demo, and I don't think it did it justice how loud that amp is. It's easily giggable. This is another demo I screwed up. I'm going to borrow that amp again. I actually did a shootout. It's funny, the spam filter sometimes gets the things wrong here. So let's just approve that message. Another video I did of between the Bandit and the Katana. It was a sad day. I almost felt like the Katana sounded better, and that's coming from me. So yeah, it just sounded different. It sounded bigger. I think because the cabinet's larger. The thing was blisteringly loud. Like I had my Bandit up at gig volume, and I had the Katana at a comparable audible volume, and just the massive sound out of the new Katanas is insane. So speaker cabinet obviously makes a huge difference, or the box, but also that new speaker's really, really great. I just heard Stevie Ray used to use 13s. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and he tuned down as well. Does it have a set neck? It's a bolt-on, actually. So it's got this weird sort of, what would you call that? Like a jelly bean, not a jelly bean, like a baked bean style thing going on back here, but yeah. It's an interesting shape. Like there's no contours on the back, so it's just dead flat. But on the front, much like my PRS in some ways, it's kind of like, it's thinner at the edge. There you go, you can see that. This bit here is higher than here, and it does that all the way around. So it's really comfortable when you've got your arm on top of it. It doesn't feel like a sharp edge. It just feels nice. I just learned to play lefty. No one told me otherwise. Yeah, same. I remember the first time, like my parents bought me a guitar when I was, I think in primary school, we were learning music. And that's when I first learned a few chords, and I picked it up. I got it out of the box and I went lefty, and my mum's like looked at me because she played guitar. She's like, oh, you left, I'll have to restring this for you. So that's what happened. We had the guitar restrung. Or she did it for me, so I thought that was cool. Actually, I tell you what, one of the first songs I learned actually was from my mum. I learned this Latin-ish sounding thing. Now, I haven't played this forever, and I'm not going to play it right, so go easy, but it's sort of like hang on. Hang on. I need to hear it in my head. I can't hear it in my head yet. No, I can't remember it. I remember this part. I can't remember. It was something like that, though. I can't remember what it's called. Ever tried a 7-string? Absolutely not. I have enough trouble on 6. No, it's not something that I rely. So I think I rely more heavily than I know on the low E, and I reckon if you were to change that, and I've played a 5-string bass before and I hated it, so I think for me I don't really want to try a 7-string. I'd like to try one of those guitars that I think Danelectro also make one. They're like basically what are they called? They're like a lower octave basically of a guitar. Lincoln says, what guitar is that? It's basically Danelectro 64. So I got sent a couple of these guys out, and it's pretty wild. So yeah, I'm gonna do some Lefty reviews. It's the day of the trolls. Do I wipe my strings down every time I play? No, I don't. I'm really lazy with that sort of stuff. I don't really take anything to a gig to do that either. Like, for me, I just usually use the spray occasionally, the fingery stuff, and I'll just wipe them like that, but that's usually before I play. I really don't often clean the strings that much, and I probably would get more life out of them if I did that, because although I don't really sweat much when I play, I find my fingertips do. So, I used to change strings before every gig. Now I change strings when I can visibly see there's, black crap on there. So baritone, there we go. Thanks, guys. Appreciate that. That was the word I was looking for. Got to head out for practice tomorrow. Many thanks, Shane. Keep up the great work. Thanks, CC Music. Appreciate that. Thanks for hanging out. What kind of fret wire do you like? I'm thinking about getting my 52 reissue with the frets kind of thin. Yeah, so my 52 reissue had exactly the same frets that you got, and I hated them. I wore them out in 4 years, and they're thin. So get 6505 stainless steel strings. Any of the luthiers who do that work will know exactly what that is. Stainless steel 6505s. 6105. Sorry. 6505 I think is a PV amp. So they're 6105s. What strings do I use? So most of the time I buy whatever's cheapest normally. So most of the time I get like Diodarios. I just get them from Amazon because for me that's cheaper than buying them here sometimes. Or if I buy locally, which I do sometimes, these ones were bought from there, I get these Power Slinkies. I'd say I'm more of a Diodario fan than anything, but it just comes down to price and whatever else as well. But they're the two that I like. I used to use web strings a lot, which are basically like unbranded Diodarios to some extent. They're that kind of thing. But I found, like, if I left them sitting in a pack for too long, they'd corrode. They don't seal their packs, which is a huge problem. But if you plan on, like, changing a lot of strings really quickly, then they're a much cheaper option. All right, a luthier for a paint job in Australia. There's a couple of guys in Sydney that do really great jobs. I think episode... I can't remember what it is. I went to the Melbourne Guitar Show, right, last year, and I did a Guitar Search Saturday series. It's the only way I can basically tell you how to find this guy. Right towards the end, there's a guy who had, like, all kinds of paint jobs on guitars. So people send him their guitars, and they say, hey, I want, this horror movie poster painted on, or I want my guitar to look like a B-17 bomber or something like that. And he does those. So, I can't think of the guy's name. I only met him briefly, but he does an amazing job. He would paint. It's spectacular what he does on guitars. I don't know if he resands them and then paints over them or whatever, but he does a killer job. So, yeah, check out Guitar Search Saturdays at the Melbourne Guitar Show. And that'll be the one that, if you skip most of the way to the end, so like 3/4 of the way through, somewhere between there and the end, you'll see this guy's business. Any gig mishap stories you'd like to share? Last night, my duo partner's acoustic slipped off the strap during the first set. Oh, man. Yeah, so I did a festival recently, and I had my wireless guitar pack on. So I ran out into the audience outside. I'm rocking out and, trying to, anyway, doing my thing over this song. And I come back, and my wireless pack goes flying to the ground, right? So it just instantly cut my sound. And I was like, oh, that's no worries. I'll just plug it back in and clip it back on. I didn't realize, like, the clip was broken. Like, the clip had come off somewhere, right? So it was totally missing. I got this on video, too. It might make a funny video. So I'm, like, out of habit, just trying to click it back on, and it attaches to a, like a guitar jack that's short, just comes out of here, and you plug it in. So I'm like, with force, trying to clip it back on, and all I'm doing is disconnecting it over and over again, and it just kept falling onto the ground. I'm like, what the hell's going wrong here? So anyway, I'm like clicking it in, and then I realized, oh, all right, so that's what happened. So I just put it in my front pocket, but I must have gone 30 seconds, which feels like an hour and a half, trying to work out why I couldn't connect this back to my belt. So it probably would make a funny video at some point. Just the fact that it's on video. It was a great, it was one of those solos where I went for 5 minutes, which I don't normally do that often, but it felt really good, and I'm thinking, oh, here we go, and then disaster. Craig says, is there a retailer in Melbourne for Donna pedals? I don't think so, man. I think they pretty much just sell online. So you go to Amazon or donnadeal.com. You're not going to find it cheaper than there, because they're the company that make it, and you'll find most pedal companies are working that way these days. Diodarios have a nice tone, but I think Ernie balls are just as good, but different. Yeah, that's how I feel about it. I only ever used to use Ernie balls. But yeah, like I said, for me, it's just more about price and performance. I know both of these brands are really good, so I'm happy with either. I don't really notice a feel difference between the brands. Some of us love horror movies, Mojo. All right, have I ever tried, this is from John, have you ever tried switching your wiring for your tone knob from middle position to bridge on a Strat? Really smooths out some of the high end, and without being harsh. No, I think my 50th anniversary one was modded at the shop. When I bought that, one of the guys said, hey, we'll do this tone pot mod. But the thing is, I never used the tone pots on my Strats ever, so I don't even really remember how that was wired. Locking Nut says, Shane, the Guitar Emporium store is awesome. I really like the layout. Yeah, I was blown away. When I walked in there, I was like, how do I not know about this place? It's got a lot of really great stuff. Some cheap guitars in there too, but on the most part, vintage gear. I love looking through that stuff. And that video took forever to freaking edit, because there's a lot of stuff I didn't know about. I'm referencing their website and all that. So, yeah, I hope you like it. If you haven't seen today's Guitar Search Saturday, go check it out. All right, what Vox amp's that behind you? So I've got the Valvetronics one, which I wanted to demo first actually, but unfortunately there was no power supply in the box. It usually comes with this weird 12 volt DC thing. Yeah, for some reason it wasn't in there, so I can't use it. But the other one I've got down here is one of the AV series ones, which is this. This is the one with the 10-inch speaker. So I'll get around to probably shooting this video tomorrow or Tuesday. Usually Mondays I don't really do much. Mondays are kind of Sunday, Monday's my days off. I try to. Even though I'm doing this today. But this doesn't count. Day off from editing and shooting I'm talking about. Okay. Are a lot of the China pedals rebranded? Yeah, absolutely. So what happens, at least now that I've been around the industry a lot, is there'd be a handful of factories or builders that build a lot of stuff and sell them under different brands, or they OEM, which means a company can order 500 and have them branded and printed however they like, but they're all coming out of the same place. So I don't know if Donna's. A lot of people go, oh, this company made it, they've copied them, but I have a feeling the company that basically is producing these will sell them to anyone that wants them. So it's, I don't think it's necessarily the company that you might have first seen with them that are the originators or not. It's hard to know. A lot of stuff there's a lot of pedals out there you don't hear about as well. I mean, look at some of the overseas importing websites, where you can go to madeinchina.com or whatever. You'll see hundreds of pedals you've never heard of before that aren't, in the consciousness of guitar players. Do I have a bass? I do. I got an Ibanez sound gear. I love it. right, Ed, how are you, man? We had a black bear in our neighborhood the other day. Awesome. So I was playing the Little Crow just before, which I might swap to the other Little Crow now. We've got two Little Crows out. Thought I'd mix it up today. My Telecaster I'll have back on Tuesday, which will be good. I had the nut replaced on that. And yeah, let's try this one. I was playing this on a Facebook live stream yesterday. I was really digging that first both pickup combination. This is neck pickup on its own. The bridge. Over the years, I've started to appreciate bridge pickup more. I never used to like it when I was younger. Have I ever played an 8-string? No, never. Never probably even seen an 8-string guitar in a lefty. What's the best gig you've ever been to? There'd be a couple. The first one that comes to mind is James Brown, just based on sheer vibe. It was awesome. Like, Australian audiences, on the most part, are very, reserved might be the right word. But James Brown got everyone up and dancing. It was pretty funny. So, yeah, James Brown. Dr. John played in Melbourne a number of years ago. I went with a friend of mine, and it was fantastic, man. Best rhythm section I reckon I've heard maybe ever. And I've heard Steve Jordan and Willie Weeks play together. Dr. John's rhythm section, I reckon, they're just unbelievable. Like, it was just the funkiest show ever. It was super cool, man. It was super cool. One that I saw recently, which is, he had a touring band, so a local Melbourne band, Chris Kane. I saw him in Melbourne. I got to meet the guy. Lovely guy, great player, just oozed guitar proficiency. It was really something else. I like that guitar. Thanks, man. Love Guitar Search Saturday. Great shop. So my Italia repair didn't hold. No, what happened was, it was okay. Like, it was fine. But I felt like it needed to come down a little bit more. So I grabbed the file out and it just shattered. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get this done properly. That neck pickup is where it's at. Yeah, it's pretty nice. I like this thing. It's definitely... Just a bit out of tune here. Alright, here we go. Alright, have I ever played a 12-string? I have. I played a couple of lefty 12-strings. I never really wanted to own one. I don't necessarily like the sound personally. There's not a whole lot of music where I go, oh wow, geez, that really makes me want to go buy a 12-string. I just see them more as a hassle for me. I'm too lazy when it comes to changing strings. As you get older, you hear less high frequencies. Absolutely. That's why Dr. Rick likes this chicken scratchy, high-end, bitey sound that cuts everybody's heads off. If you're watching Rick, it's a joke, mate. He's 20 years older than me. Oh, no, he's not. No, he's not. He's not 20 years older than me. What am I talking about? My mistake. He only turned 50. I like the Little Crow of the Danelectro. Yeah, it's a great one, man. How you doing? It's this sounds great. So I started learning some old school stuff a while back. I'm gonna see if I can crank the gain up. Hang on. I can't play it properly yet, but this is an old sort of. I'm starting to learn these different sort of rhythm patterns, which I've never been around. Like even doing that chunk thing. Even that sort of stuff is very foreign. So it's been good to sort of just try learning some old school stuff that I like to listen to, but would never normally play. And it's really made me realize, wow, like it made me appreciate how hard that was for me just to get that feel right. Coming from like the kind of music that I normally play, the funky blues stuff. So I'm still trying to work that out, but yeah, I like, I've been mixing things up a little bit at home lately. It's been good. It's Sunday in Australia. Yeah, absolutely. Does Mayton make electric guitars? Yep. Yeah, I owned one for a while. It's called a Master Sound. They also make a whole handful of not archtop, but similar sort of guitars to that, like a kind of like a Gibson Les Paul-ish kind of thing, but they do actually look different. Almost sounds like you have a fuzz pedal in front of the amp. So yeah, I've dialed in some weird thing with the Kemper. Let's grab a different sound. Let's see what we got here. Sorry guys, one sec. I've got so many presets on here now. Let's try this. This is supposed to be an AC30 with a tube screamer. Oh, hang on. Here we go. I think this is it. Is that out of tune? Cool. Lando 27 Music, welcome. Nice guitar. Yeah, thanks, Craig. I love this thing. Have Fun Guitar Player says he'll be 63 in February. Far out. Well, I'm out. Thanks for good night. Thanks, man. Marshall, thanks for hanging out. Ha! All right, here's a great question. Lincoln says, hey, Shane, when you're back in Florida, you should check out the Guitar Attic. Great little shop. I've been there 3 times. I love it. That's where I actually bought I bought 2 guitars from there, actually. I bought my G&L ASAC Classic, the blue tally, which I should have kept. And the guy that works in there, man, he has the funniest hairstyle I've ever seen in my life. He's like a 80s hairband kind of guy. Great muso, right? Nice guy. I'm just saying, visually, this is what he looks like. So, he's got half his hair. He's kind of got like a mullet thing going on. Like what's the word? Like a very, it's like a hairdressed mullet, basically. So, long hair at the back. He's had it done properly. Half his hair is black, and half his hair is white. But yeah, I bought my guitar from there. I also bought another guitar, which actually no, I only bought one in the end. I did have another guitar, but I swapped it for the G&L. Yeah, I've been there. I always check that shop out. Every time I'm in Florida, I go to the Guitar Attic. So yeah, you get some really cool stuff in there. Last time I was there, which was last year, there wasn't any lefties, unfortunately. I think there might have been like one really average lefty, but I don't recall there being anything. I just went, oh wow, look at that. Thanks, Dan. I appreciate that, man. I was enjoying one of your videos the other day. I can't remember where I saw it. It might have been on Instagram, actually. Short little clip. Randy Pepper. There we go. Yeah, lovely guy. I mean, like I said, I've been in there a whole lot of times over the years. There was just that hairstyle cracked me up. I saw him. I went, oh man, I just don't see that every day here. Medication One says guitar player and mature is an oxymoron. No? Yeah, absolutely. What do they say? Guitar players don't grow up, they get old. I think that'll be me. Probably almost getting there now. Distortion pedals make me young, yeah. Squier Vintage Modified Strat. Ever played one? Thoughts on the Duncan design pickups? I don't know if I've actually played a Lefty. I played one of the new Squiers, which went up a while back, the dual humbucker one, but I don't know if that's that series or not. I'm having a mental block. There's so many series of Squier and Fender stuff that it's hard to remember exactly what they are. But I tell you what, coming up, so I demoed the Strat with the 2 humbucker pickups, the Squier one. Ryan and I also shot the dual humbucker Telecaster, the white one. So that'll be coming up on the channel too. I think starting Tuesday I have like 8 videos with Ryan coming up. A lot of people want to see more of him on the channel, and that's awesome. So I love having him on. Why Florida? I got a lot of friends in Florida. People that I've known since I was 19. So yeah, and I like to go where I know people. It always feels good, and I love warm weather. That's always another thing too. I mean, I love Boston. I love other places I've been to. San Francisco, obviously I go there a lot as well. And a big part of going to San Francisco is because I know people there as well, which is great. I get to play some music and do all that kind of stuff. I don't mind traveling when I'm like... The way I look at time off is downtime, right? I don't really like to go traveling and I have to catch a flight or catch a bus or a train every other day. I don't find that relaxing. I find going somewhere for 3 or 4 weeks and kind of chilling out. That's kind of what I like to do. So if I go somewhere and I mix up, like last trip I saw Steve, formerly Pixie Licks in Boston. I was only there for like a day. I think I was there. I landed that evening. Met up with him and Nick in the States. The next afternoon, Steve dropped me off at Boston Airport. And I left. I was so tired when we shot those videos. I literally, like, he's going to know, like, Steve is kind of planning on coming down at some point. And when he does, I'll make sure I shoot a video the day after he's here, and then we'll see what he's like. I mean, I didn't fly all the way from Australia when I got there, but even, having 4 hours sleep, going from Sarasota, driving all the way to Orlando, getting a flight up to Boston, getting no sleep, getting up early the next morning, I was fried. And then we shot that video at midnight the next day, so I was just fried. So I'll check my clipping levels. All right, cool. Sorry, I'm probably talking a bit close to the mic. All right, I'll back it up. You don't fancy the UK? Yeah, I'll get there. I reckon my next trip might be that side of the world. Chromatic run was a fluke. I like that. I might use that tonight. Thoughts on the Tedeschi Trucks band? Great bunch of musos. Absolutely. I'm a big fan of just Derek Trucks band in general. One of my high play, I could say CDs, but off my phone when I was driving around was Derek Truck stuff last time. I hope to see the Stones before they retire. Oh, sorry, I misread that. I hope the Stones retire before their tour is sponsored by Depends. Yeah, I haven't seen them live. Like I respect them musically. It's not a sort of a band. I hear they're amazing live, but I don't know. Oh, guitar level's clipping, really? I don't see it here, which is odd, but I'll back it off. David said, did I miss the Silver Sky bashing segment? No bashing. Not at all. I'm keen to check it out. I have no problems with that at all. I spoke about that earlier. I think it's different enough to be interesting to check out. And there's a million guitar companies that are heralded as doing amazing stuff, which are all Strat copies. I have no problems with an artist going to PRS and saying, this is what I need to do what I do. And I posted a clip of Maya talking for about 40 minutes on Facebook today, where he's basically saying, like, I didn't get paid $500,000 to turn up and get a guitar. It was like, I wanted this made and no one else would do it. So, yeah. And there's no way PRS, Paurie Smith, would have just made a Strat style guitar. It's not in, it's not in the company's best image or best business practice to really do that without this kind of influence. So I think it's a good thing. Hope these comments are available later. I want to check those bands. Yeah, they will be. So any of these live streams now, at least starting from a couple of weeks ago, all the live chat will be on the right. And once it's over, the red dot will be gone in the title, and then you can just post comments normally. Derek's an amazing player. I think out of all the guitar players I've ever heard in my life, Derek Trucks was probably the most impressive. I would put him up there with some of the best. I saw John Mayer play live, and he was fantastic as well. But Derek Trucks, man, the only problem with Derek is he's boring to watch. And I know that's such a small criticism, but he's not a showman. He's just a fantastic guitar player, and that's unreal, right? I'd love to be able to play 1/100th of the amount of great chops he has. I'd love to learn that, but yeah, he's just a very dull guy to watch, and it might have been because he was playing with Eric Clapton. He stood in one place with his head down. It could have been a cardboard cutout, and that's my only criticism of, like, Clapton. When I saw Clapton play, I didn't enjoy it at all, and I was really looking forward to it. There was not a whole lot of, Clapton didn't play enough, which was my biggest criticism, but Derek Trucks just ripped it up, man, and maybe, Clapton this was years ago, but he was probably just happy to throw him the solos because he was on a whole other level. But yeah, phenomenal guitarist. Like, one of my favorites. I love their music. I like how diverse their albums are too. It goes from like world kind of music to soul to blues to old school acoustic stuff. It's really cool. Do I have any Freddie King licks? Yeah, well, I think favorite ones. I think a lot of like the Freddie King licks I like are the ones I stole from Clapton. They're the ones that sort of, I forgot what guitar I was playing now. I was like, where's the toggle switch? Like, I always liked Freddie's, when he does these kind of things. He's got all those, like, Clapton does them as well. Like, that sort of stuff. And he also does that. He's got this really nice stinging thing that he does. Yeah, I don't know. Off the top of my head, Freddie King, I love his voice. Probably the best blues singer of all time. Or arguably. This is all subjective stuff, but I really like him. But yeah. I always liked Albert King more. Albert King sort of just had something in his playing that I really loved. Like, yeah. I mean, obviously Freddie's an amazing player, but maybe because I don't listen to Freddie enough, I'm not as in tune with all of his best licks like I am with, Albert. Yeah. You know, all that sort of stuff. It just, that's, I hear that. As soon as someone says Albert King, that's the first thing I think of, that intro lick. You know, such a different sound to what was going on back then. There's like, it doesn't sound like anything else. I have the new Katana Artist in my possession now. This is from Earth Skills. I'm loving it. Awesome stuff. Congrats. Great amp. Yeah. I'd love to try one live at some point. What's the guitarist from Government Mule called again? Warren. Warren something or other. What, Hayes? Like watching Bonamassa live. It's amazing to watch. Just never cared to listen to his recordings. Yeah, I've never really gotten into him a whole lot over the years either. I don't know what it is. Maybe he's like the younger generation stuff. I'm not too sure. But yeah, I've seen, there's a concert he's got where he's playing at a place in Germany as a 3-piece band, and it's phenomenal. Like that, you know, that is probably the best thing I've heard of his. And there's also this really great, he's playing to like a lot of people somewhere. He's playing an acoustic guitar, and I've never seen someone rip it like that. So, you know, technically phenomenal player, just not someone that I've really listened to enough of, or really wanted to be honest. I ain't drunk, I'm just drinking. Yeah, that's some Dry Heat. It's one of the best Albert Collins songs of all time. Albert Collins is a dude, man. That guy has the best attack and phrasing and most unique way of playing out of all the blues guys. He's just very, very different. I didn't really appreciate him enough early on, how great he was. He's just an absolute blues beast. Government Mule is number one, absolutely. My Epiphones are great. Epiphone make great stuff, no doubt about it. So another couple of videos I'm doing with Ryan coming up. You probably saw I've got this new feed thing on YouTube where I post pictures, and also on Instagram, but Ryan and I have shot some shootouts have filmed some shootouts, maybe is a better way of saying that, between some Epiphone guitars like the Casino, the Epiphone Dot, and also against some Gibsons as well that are comparable, so they'll be coming up. There's an interesting point. Joe Bonamassa doesn't have any great songs. He's just a great player. You might be right. Like, this is the thing that I think, like, you know, a lot of people don't like John Mayer for whatever reason. Like, maybe his personality type puts people off. But he writes great songs. You know, in a way, he's kind of like the Jimi Hendrix of now. He's taken a lot of the great inspiration, turned it maybe a little more melodic, and come up with some really great songs. I'm not saying all of his songs are good, right? Because I don't like all of his stuff. But when I'm thinking of the Continuum album, stuff like Slow Dancing in a Burning Room, Vultures, you know, they're two songs in a way that kind of have set the standard in some ways for guitar songs of now. Even though it's, you know, Hendrix is a beast. Hendrix pioneered a lot of that sort of style, some of it. You know, he does something pretty unique melodically, and I think a lot of his guitar solos stick in your head as well. But then he's got a lot of stuff I won't listen to as well. But anyway. The Sheraton, yeah, that's one video. That's one guitar we didn't add to the list, so that's definitely coming up. Hopefully, we'll go back and shoot some more soon. I'll take an Epiphone any day. Epiphones are great. So I was learning this new thing the other day, which I probably forgot. It's like, you hear me do the... So I was trying to play it up the neck, like, was working on this little lesson the other day, so I'll try and get some of that in there. I have a 2013 live video of the Tedeschi Trucks Band on my channel. Okay, cool. Check it out. Decent audio too. All right, thanks, Mark. Appreciate that. Or Marky. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Marky FX or Mark EFX. I don't like John, but there's no denying he's a great writer and an amazing player. Yeah, absolutely. There's no doubt about it. Look, I used to like when I was actually I remember because I got his first album right years ago, which was the Room for Squares one. I was actually overseas at the time that came out. I was like, this guy's a great player. I could tell. And back then for pop music, I thought his voice was kind of cool. But then when he did the blues stuff, I liked his vocals so much more for his trio stuff. That when he went back to the pop sort of vocal, I didn't get into it as much. I was kind of like just focused on that trio album, which is really great. He's a great player live too. Like I've seen him live, great vibe. You know, he commands your attention when he's playing in front of a big audience. He's not just standing there and you're bored out of your brain. He's great fun to watch. If you're a guitarist, you know, I was probably one of the oldest people in the room, but he as a guitar guy, it's phenomenal. Davey Knowles is one of the best modern blues players I've seen. So much feeling and emotion in his playing, along with great technique. Awesome. I'll have to check that out. Bonamassa does great live covers. Cool. There's actually a couple of really cool videos with Bonamassa and Greg Koch playing live in, I think, Wisconsin. Is that where he's from? Milwaukee? And, yeah. That's pretty cool. They're like sharing licks around and all that kind of stuff. I always feel sorry for when people invite Greg to play because he's so good. There's a video of Kenny Wayne Shepherd and Greg Koch playing at NAMM, and I was like, holy crap, man. You know, if you like the Stevie Ray thing, Kenny Wayne Shepherd's got that sort of sound down, you know, but then you hear Greg play and you're like, dude, he'd make you want to quit. He's an insanely good player. I've heard him live too. He's fantastic. Slow Gin. Everyone keeps saying Slow Gin. I'm gonna have to check that out. I probably heard it. I've heard some of his stuff. I just don't know it by name. I just don't listen to it enough. But yeah. All right, we're coming up to an hour and a half, or over an hour and a half. So I might just stay on here a few more minutes and take a few more questions. If you haven't liked the video, please do. Or if you don't, give it the thumbs down. But yeah, if anyone has, oh, here we go. Will Magic Man says, Shane, are we allowed to send tracks of our playing to you with custom built guitars, etc., so you can have a listen and a laugh? Yeah, if you want to send me anything, just shoot me a link at intheblues@outlook.com. I'll see it there. Probably best not to post links. I mean, the chat won't work in the live stream chat. Doesn't work with links anyway. But yeah, email me whatever you like. I'll check it out. Or I'm on Facebook too. I get most of my questions there. That's probably easier. If you're on Facebook, go to @InTheBlues or InTheBlues, and I'm on there. I never got into Kenny Wayne. I don't know why. I like some of his early stuff. But yeah, it just never really. That was when everyone wanted to sound like, you know, they wanted that Stevie Ray thing, and I never really got into it, man. Even the guys locally that wanted to sound like Stevie Ray, I was like, I'm so sick of it. The dude's wearing the hats, and I'm like, you know, develop your own personality. That's why I'm like confused to see guys who are playing 30 years, and all they want to do is emulate someone else. Like they'll spend hours and hours going through. I mean, I'm guilty of that too, right? I'll play Albert King licks because I like the sound of it, but I also play other people's stuff, which ends up becoming like a mutation of your own sort of stuff. I just don't get those guys that spend all their time trying to nail one particular sound just to sound like someone else. I really don't get it. I don't know. Let me know what you think of that anyway. I really don't get it. That's why Greg Koch's so awesome, right? He can do all the stuff everyone else can play, but when you hear him play, he sounds like nobody else. Do I have any of my own music online anywhere where people can hear it? I used to. I took it down recently. So I had stuff on iTunes, and I think what I'm going to do coming up pretty soon is do a big purge. I've got probably 2,000 CDs left, and that's from 5 albums. So not from one, where I'm just going to like give them away. If people want to cover shipping costs or something, they can do that. But yeah, I don't know if I've got too much stuff. I've got a website called shanesband.com, which I haven't updated in months and months, and I think a lot of the links on there don't work anymore. But there's some live clips of my own music on there as well. And this coming weekend this coming Friday, the festival I'm doing is mostly original stuff mixed with original blues stuff, which is just 12-bar stuff with different lyrics. What's my opinion on the great country man, Tommy Emmanuel? I think he's arguably the greatest acoustic player ever for for his style of music. The thing is, I don't know how to say it. I had a couple of his albums years ago, and I need to hear lyrics at some point. I just don't, for me personally, I don't get into just acoustic guitar over and over. And one of my friends is with us. One of my good friends is actually Neil, who's actually in the chat. We went to see Buddy Guy, right? And Kev Mo, phenomenal band, great player, great singer. He went up before Buddy Guy. He played for 60 minutes on acoustic guitar with no one else, and it felt like 3 hours. And he's good. I kind of feel like I like to watch clips of Tommy Emmanuel from time to time and just go, man, this guy's unbelievably gifted and he's a fantastic player. But it bores me after a while. It really does. I'd rather hear less accomplished guitar players in the context of a better band, in a band with vocals and all that kind of stuff. I as much as I love great guitar playing, I don't know. I get bored by it, and that's just me. I think he's arguably one of the most gifted players ever. So I'm not taking away from how good he is at all. Like he shits on just about everybody. But I personally just don't get into his music that much. Like I said, I had a couple of his albums. I tried to really get into it. I found myself not listening to him that much. But that said, I love watching his live clips when he's playing live. He's entertaining and just a phenomenal player. John Five is another monster on guitar. Absolutely, man. John Five, for those who don't know, he plays with Rob Zombie now. He's played with like Marilyn Manson. He's a country-influenced metal player. So he's got all the metal chops and all the country chops. Bizarre dude, fantastic guitarist. Guthrie Govan, there's another one. That's from Burnt Gerbil, absolutely. Richard said, I saw John Five live, great show, amazing chicken picker. Oh, totally. I mean, I think all of his guitars are pretty much tallies. Boyd says, got to come to Ontario. I'd love to, absolutely. I've been to Canada technically twice, but only once, really. Like one was a stopover, on a flight. I went to Vancouver once. It was beautiful. I'd love to go back there, actually. I can't sing, so when I record tracks, it does feel like I'm trying to fill spaces. Not everything can be Lenny. Yeah, well, see, to me, this is the thing. I'd much prefer to listen to Lenny than a solo acoustic guitar player, no matter how great they are. Because Lenny you got the feel of the drum and bass there. There's that non-necessity to fill every waking part of it with guitar strumming. For me personally, or picking or whatever, I much prefer to listen to instrumental stuff like Chitlin's Concan and Lenny over just a shredding or really proficient acoustic guitar player. There's exceptions to that though. Like I love melodic acoustic guitar playing. There's a lot of guys you'll see on YouTube or on Facebook or wherever where they're posting videos. Like I think the last big one, there was a song that I don't really care that much for, but it was amazing. I think he was doing like a George Michael song. And he was doing all the tapping and he was playing really all this weird stuff. But it had the melody in there and I was like, this is impressive. Because it kind of sounded like everything was still happening in the song. Like the lyric line was there, the melody line. So it was cool. It says, come to Cleveland, we'll go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Cool. I gotta go. Thanks very much for the great live show. Thanks, man. I appreciate that, Will. Cheers. Will Magic Man. Yeah, if anyone wants to send me samples of music or whatever, you can. You can do that in theblues@outlook.com. I dig how Pete Thornton writes original music for every demo, and each one is brilliant. Oh, man, I mean, the guy's, yeah, what a gifted dude, man. Absolutely. Absolutely. So this year I've been making more of an effort to diversify my intro tracks, as you can probably tell. It's a good process. Actually, a couple of days ago, I put a very short video, oh, not a short video, but a behind-the-scenes video about how I come up with those short little clips I use. And yeah, he was a fantastic player. Oh, Ed says he played Careless Whisper. Yeah, there you go. Andy McKee. Man, I haven't heard that name for ages. This is big dude with a beard. He was one of the first guys on YouTube I remember that got like 1 million views on a guitar video, because he was fantastic. He's playing all kinds of crazy guitars with these big bits at the top, and I haven't heard that name for ages. You've just inspired me to go see how many tens of millions of views the guy's got. What's the largest gauge strings that I've tried? I've tried 12s. I used to play 12s on my ES335 for a while. Actually, it was my Epiphone Dot 335. But yeah, it had a wound G as well. And I got through 1 gig and 1 jam night, and then I took them off and went back to 11s. All right, guys. I'm going to get out of here and go get some lunch. It's right about that time. So thanks for hanging out. Appreciate it. We had a good turnout today. So yeah, appreciate everyone making it in. And next Sunday, let's do it. Pencil it in, John. If you're still in the chat, we'll do a hangout. Might have to do it kind of early though, so I got to probably leave by 12ish. Doyle Bramwell 2 is a great player. He plays lefty upside down. Yeah, look, I saw him play live with Clapton and I wasn't impressed. Since that, though, I've seen him play a lot of really great stuff. In person back then in like 2007, I didn't think he was very good. Maybe it was just because Derek was so good. Yeah. All right, guys. Rock on. Thanks again. Thanks for all the moderators for helping out. Thanks for hanging out. And if anyone in here who I know, I'm going jamming tonight, so we'll make some noise. It'll be good fun. All right, guys, take care. Thanks a lot for hanging out, and I will catch you all soon. And if you haven't seen Guitar Switch Saturday that I just posted, go check it out if you're into that series. The actual shop kicks ass if you like vintage gear. It's really cool. All right, guys, thanks again. I'll catch you soon. Oh yeah, lastly, I'm doing about 1 or 2 live streams a week at the moment on Facebook, just jam streams where I'm put on backing tracks. I can't do that on YouTube, unfortunately, but yeah, if you're into that sort of stuff, check it out.